Somewhere on this planet, a steel door weighing dozens of tons begins to slide shut with slow, mechanical precision. The metallic echo travels through an empty corridor of reinforced concrete. When the final lock engages, the outside world ceases to exist. There are no windows, no sky, no quick way out. From that moment on, everyone inside depends entirely on what was prepared in advance. Artificial light replaces the sun. Ventilation systems begin filtering the air. Sensors track every critical variable. Water, energy, food, medicine, everything has been calculated to last for months or even years. But no one builds something like this without a reason. While billions of people continue their daily routines, working, studying, planning their futures, governments and extremely wealthy individuals are investing vast amounts of money into underground structures designed to survive scenarios most people can barely imagine. And an unavoidable question begins to take shape. What do they know that we don't? Throughout human history, digging downward has always been an act of desperation. Ancient cities built tunnels to escape invasions. Persecuted groups hid in caves. During bombings, civilians sought refuge underground to escape fire falling from the sky. But what's happening now is not improvisation. It's planning. Over the past decades, and especially in recent years, a new silent race has begun. It's not a space race. It's not technological. It's a race for underground survival. Entire nations are expanding or modernizing networks of military and civilian bunkers. Massive facilities have been carved deep into mountains. Secret complexes have been constructed at depths capable of withstanding direct nuclear blasts. These structures are not just shelters, they are complete systems for the continuity of civilization. In some cases, they include hospitals, living quarters, command centers, vast food reserves, independent energy systems, and even hydroponic farms capable of producing food without sunlight. Some were designed to sustain thousands of people, others only a few dozen, carefully selected. During the Cold War, fear of nuclear destruction led many countries to invest heavily in shelters. Schools ran evacuation drills. Cities built public bunkers. Families installed small shelters in their homes. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, it seemed like that fear had been left behind. For a brief moment, the world believed the risk of global annihilation had diminished. It was an illusion. Today, the global nuclear arsenal is still capable of destroying civilization multiple times over. And modern technology has made launch systems faster, more precise, and in some cases, more automated. All it would take is one failure, one misinterpretation, a cyber attack, a false alarm treated as real. Historians remind us that the world has already come dangerously close to nuclear war due to technical errors and human decisions made under extreme pressure. But nuclear war is only one possible threat. Scientists point to natural dangers capable of causing global devastation without any human involvement. Supervolcanic eruptions could release so much ash into the atmosphere that sunlight would be blocked for years, triggering a global winter and agricultural collapse. Asteroid impacts remain rare, but inevitable on a geological scale. Even a relatively small object could destroy an entire region and trigger worldwide climate effects. Extreme solar storms represent another silent threat. A powerful solar flare could strike Earth with enough radiation to destroy satellites, electrical grids, and communication systems, plunging modern civilization into a prolonged blackout. Without electricity, supply chains would collapse. Clean water would stop reaching cities, hospitals would fail, financial systems would disappear. The modern world depends on a fragile, interconnected infrastructure. When it breaks, everything breaks with it. And then there is the invisible threat, pandemics. History shows that diseases can alter the fate of entire civilizations. But today, with constant global travel and unprecedented population density, a highly contagious pathogen could spread across the planet in a matter of weeks. Laboratories around the world study viruses and bacteria to develop vaccines and treatments. But that same knowledge also raises concerns about accidents, leaks, or the deliberate use of biological agents. A virus with high lethality and efficient transmission could render entire cities uninhabitable. In that scenario, self-sufficient bunkers would function as capsules of human preservation. But perhaps the most disturbing threat does not come from the sky, space, or nature. Perhaps it comes from us. Complex societies depend on economic stability, institutional trust, and continuous access to essential resources. When these pillars collapse, social order can disappear quickly. Historians have documented countless civilizations that fell not due to external invasion, but because of internal crises, famine, extreme inequality, political conflict, civil war. When the system stops working, violence can become the norm. Widespread looting, mass migration. Conflicts over water and food, collapse of public services. For those inside a self-sufficient bunker, the outside world could become a hostile and unpredictable territory. And there is a troubling detail. These shelters are not designed to save everyone. Capacity is limited. That means in a global catastrophe, decisions would be made about who gets access to protected survival. Political leaders, strategic military personnel, essential scientists, technical specialists. Perhaps a few selected civilians. The rest of humanity would be left outside. This reality raises an uncomfortable moral question. Preparing for the worst is understandable, but preparing to save only a minority implies accepting that billions may not survive. Some researchers believe the existence of these bunkers reflects not just caution, but preparation for scenarios considered plausible by those with access to privileged information. Scenarios rarely discussed openly. Meanwhile, a parallel trend is quietly growing. Billionaires and multimillionaires are building their own private refugees. In remote regions, isolated islands, and hard-to-reach areas, fortified properties are emerging with remarkable features. Private airstrips, advanced security systems, independent energy sources, underground reservoirs. Some include entire personal underground cities, complete with leisure areas, spas, libraries, and living spaces designed for long-term isolation. For these individuals, a bunker is not just an emergency shelter, it's a continuity plan. A way to ensure that no matter what happens to the outside world, they have a chance to start again. But there is a problem. Physical survival is only part of the equation. Prolonged isolation can have profound psychological effects. Studies conducted in submarines, polar stations, and space simulations show that living without natural light, without external contact, and under constant stress can lead to anxiety, depression, interpersonal conflict, and even loss of time perception. Maintaining sanity can be just as difficult as staying alive. That's why modern bunkers are designed not only for physical survival, but also for psychological comfort. Lighting systems that mimic day and night cycles, recreational spaces, digital libraries, and communal areas are all part of the design. Some projects even include simulated skies and landscapes to reduce the feeling of confinement. Even so, the question remains: how long could someone live like that? Months, years, decades? And what would they find when they finally emerged? A recovered planet or an unrecognizable one? There is another aspect rarely discussed. Many of these complexes are designed to remain operational, even if the surface is permanently compromised. This suggests extreme scenarios. Events that wouldn't just cause temporary destruction, but would fundamentally alter the planet's habitability. Nuclear winters, widespread contamination, severe climate collapse, or something we don't fully understand yet. Some analysts believe bunkers are simply a form of insurance, something you hope never to use but must have for the worst-case scenario. Others see them as a sign that global elites consider certain risks far more likely than they publicly admit. The truth may lie somewhere in between. Preparation does not necessarily mean prediction of imminent disaster. It may simply reflect strategic responsibility. Governments must plan for unlikely scenarios, just as insurers prepare for rare catastrophes. But when the scale of that preparation grows quietly, without public discussion, suspicion becomes inevitable. Because in the end, bunkers are not built for comfort. They are built for when everything goes wrong. And perhaps the most important question is not why they exist, but what would happen if they were ever used. Imagine a moment when sirens sound, communication networks fail, and authorities order immediate evacuation to secure locations. Underground doors seal shut. Isolation systems activate. Outside, billions face the unknown. Inside, a small group watches the world through sensors and fragmented transmissions, waiting for signs that it is safe to return. It sounds like science fiction, but the infrastructure to make it real already exists. In the end, the construction of these refugees reveals something profound about human nature. Despite all our technology and progress, we still fear losing everything in an instant. Civilizations rise and fall throughout history. Empires once thought eternal dissolve. Systems that seem unshakable collapse. Perhaps bunkers are an attempt to break that cycle. A way to ensure that even if the world falls, something survives. Something capable of rebuilding. Or something capable of ruling what remains. Because when the most powerful people on Earth begin preparing for the end of the world, a suspicion emerges that cannot be ignored. Maybe they are not just preparing for an unlikely event. Maybe they are preparing for something they believe, at some level, is inevitable. And if that's true, the only question left is when? If you want to keep exploring the most disturbing mysteries in history, the hidden threats, and the secrets that quietly shape humanity's fate, subscribe to The Hidden, because some truths don't surface on their own.